All right, good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Board of Public Works. As you are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have 3 items on tonight's agenda, the first being the minutes from the Board of Public Works meeting on July 1st.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose? Motion carries. Item number 2 is the capital purchase item of HD truck and utility body with a presentation by Travis Tall. Travis?
Thank you. Thank you very much. As part of our 2019 CIP, we have 2 pieces of equipment to be replaced. And the first one, I would like to request permission to purchase a new heavy-duty truck with utility service box that will replace a 2006 truck and service body. The truck that we're replacing, we're going to actually repurpose into a barricade truck, is what we refer it to. We got a current one. We're going to take the flatbed off and use this new chassis on the 2006. And then take that 1998 truck and put that to auction with the old service body box. We spec'd out, we sent it to 2 dealerships, 2 dealerships that do government pricing. As you can see, one was Lynch and the other one was Ewald. Lynch was unable to submit a bid. I did get a question. The reason why is GMC wasn't offering any bids right now. Robbie Robrant was the gentleman that I had contacted. So the winning bid would have been the Ford, but they did not meet specs. They were too late on certain things. We need requirements to hold our bodies, the boxes and the bodies together. So the Chevrolet is one from Ewald, so we're recommending to purchase Chevrolet from Ewald for $31,251. We also sent out 2 specs to 2 dealers for our Reading box. The reason there's only 2 dealers is because those are the only 2 dealerships that actually offer Reading boxes. The winning bid was Northland Equipment. They're out of Janesville for $26,459 for a total of $57,710. Any questions?
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose? Motion carries. Item number 3, capital purchase item of HD truck and valve turner.
All right, and for the second piece of equipment, we'd like to request a purchase of a new 2-wheel drive heavy-duty truck with an aluminum flatbed and valve turner and vac. This will replace a 2004 trailer-mounted valve turner and vac. The current one will go to auction. Boy, I wish I could give you an estimated price on what that's going to get. I have no idea. I couldn't get any answers. For the truck, we sent it out to 2 dealers, Lynch and Ewald. Again, same circumstances. Lynch was unable to submit any bids due to no pricing available for the GMC model. With that, Ewald had the winning bid with the Ford of $36,191. So we're recommending the purchase from Ewald for the Ford. The second part of this truck would be the aluminum flatbed. We were able to send it out to 4 different dealers with the best price coming from Monroe Truck Equipment. They met all the specs for $8,781. And the last part of this is the valve turning machine with the vac haul. There's 2 equivalents or 2 dealers that we could get to meet the valve turner with a vac haul on it. It was McQueen Equipment and EH Walks. We currently own an EH Walks machine. They're really reliable, well known. They actually work with our GIS programming. So unfortunately, they did win the bid with the lowest at $268.75, and that's a total of $102,240.75. Any questions? I know it was pretty quick, but
Motion to approve?
Second.
Oh, sorry, just a quick question or clarification on the items that are going for auction. The money you get from that goes back to this to offset the cost of the new vehicle
Yeah,
or back into your
basically,
budget?
yep. Mhm.
Okay.
Travis, how did the bids for both the trucks compare to what we hoped they would be back when we were budgeting almost a year ago?
Yeah, the trucks were relatively close. They were up just a little bit, not too much, maybe like 1,000. The truck, the service body, if we go back to the first truck, that actually jumped up quite a bit. And the reason we had it was they said tariffs. We got pricing in late 2018 for this, or not late, it's probably August roughly. So, and so that's what we based our numbers off of. And that's what actually raised the price of that first truck a little bit.
Gotcha.
But the trucks were relatively close to what they predicted.
Thanks, Travis.
Any other questions? All right, I do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yep.
All right. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose. Motion carries. Thank you, Travis. And with no further business before the Board of Public Works, I adjourn.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Finance Committee for July 15th to order. We have 4 items on the agenda. Item number 1 is the minutes of the June 17th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. That motion carries. Item number 2 is the disallowance of claim for John Waferling. The memo is in our packet here. This is our standard process for this.
Move to deny.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. That motion carries. Item number 3 is award the raising bid for 317 River Drive. Presentation by Todd Meeks, Building Inspection Supervisor. Good evening, Todd.
Good evening. I think most of you are aware of 317 River Drive. We've been working past 2 years with the owner to take care of the property and go ahead and raise the building. So we've exhausted all of our resources on helping him out and do this. So we've went ahead and went and got 4 different bids for raising with Delta Group to be the lowest, coming in at $22,650. These funds we need to get, I know the city administrator was talking earlier today about funds and where we would be getting those from, so we're here to ask for funds to do this, to get the house raised. It's no longer a habitable, it's a safety issue in the city right now, and it's a hazard where it sits.
Thanks, Todd. With regards to the 3 bids, I don't see them listed here. How close were they in range? And
Between this one and the next lowest, we're talking 3,500.
okay. So we're comfortable the 26 or 22.6 is
Right.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I know this house sits in my district, and I've gotten a number of complaints via email.
Right.
People walking into my shop talking about, when is this thing going down? A direct neighbor just last week expressed some excitement that he thought this might be happening soon. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Craig.
Under the exclusions, are there any of the excluded items that we're not taking into account that need to be done? I assume the MEP connections or disconnects we would handle ourselves.
Yep.
What do they mean by no putback of any kind?
The demo company is going to do all the MEP disconnects at the sidewalk.
It's under their exclusion on their, looks like their bid. It says that they exclude MEP disconnects.
I had a conversation with them. That is something they can do.
Okay. And then what do they mean by no putback? I assume when they're done, it's going to be compacted, it looks
Right.
like, and
Right.
graded, so it's flat,
They'll
kids
fill
aren't
it,
falling into a hole.
compact it,
Okay.
right. Seed it.
All right, good, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Todd. Could I just jump in regarding the funding of this? This is an item that we've been working on for some time. We were hopeful, and Ian, I might ask you to comment on the process that you went through with the landowner's attorney over the last year or so. We were hopeful that at one point the bank was going to sell the property directly to somebody, potentially a landowner, neighboring landowner that had expressed some interest. That did not end up happening, and the building has continued to become in further disrepair, which is bringing this action before you. We do not have funds budgeted for this raising of the building, and Carrie, Mark and I had a conversation again today about the use of, in a similar fashion to the Bermico building that we've been talking about as an organization for some time, the use of fund balance. So what you're authorizing today is for us to move forward with the process, and then funding wise, we'd bring a resolution back before you to try to access those funds from fund balance to make this happen in the next month or so.
Great, thanks, Jay. Yes, go ahead.
So historically, this property is underwater. I forget how much the mortgage it is, but it's substantially more than at least the current condition of the building is worth. We did attempt, or the current owner's attorney did attempt to do a deed in lieu of foreclosure. That was unsuccessful. They attempted to do a short sale on the property. That was unsuccessful because the bank wouldn't essentially cooperate with either one. So at this point, we have to move forward with the raising on our own. The recourse we have is either one of two things. It's either to place the cost of the raising on the tax bill, or for whatever we don't put on the tax bill, we can get a civil judgment. So we have to kind of weigh the final outcome of that and move forward with that, but we'll be doing that after the bills are in and we've actually spent the money. So we'll be moving with, I would guess that's going to be October or November. We'll move forward with one or the other or both. So.
Any idea when we'd be looking at this actually happening?
I can call them tomorrow and tell them it's been approved.
Okay, just curious.
Okay, do you have?
Maybe just to temper expectations, though, the call tomorrow doesn't mean it's going to be raised next week. It's something that they have to get in their queue, and
Sure.
it still might be a couple of months out before the thing is raised.
All right, I do have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. That motion carries. Thanks, Todd. Item number 4 is a resolution accepting a donation from the Masonic Lodge and Country Financial to the West Bend Police Department. The presentation by Chief Moyler. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. A couple weeks ago, the Masonic Lodge had a pig roast and outing, and they raised money between them and Country Financial that they want to donate $1,500 to the police department. They want it to go to our crime prevention programming. So I'm asking tonight that we accept the donation and that the monies be deposited in the police department's crime prevention account.
Excellent. Thanks, Chief. And definitely thank you to the Masonic Lodge and Country Financial.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed by the same sign. That motion carries. Being no further business before the Finance Committee, I adjourn.
And I'd like to call the City of West Bend Licensing Board for Monday, July 15th, 29 to order. And recognize we have 6 items on tonight's agenda, starting off with the approval of the minutes from the regular Licensing Board meeting of July 1st.
Motion to approve.
Oops, sorry, Steve.
Second, as soon as I get here.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 2 is approve the operator's license, and the list is in our packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 3 is a temporary Class B beer and wine license for the Habitat for Humanity of Washington and Dodge County, Wisconsin Incorporated for West Bend German Fest being held in the Walnut City parking lot, northwest corner of South Fifth Avenue and Walnut Street, and on South Fifth Avenue between North Main Street and Walnut Street on Thursday, August 22nd, 2019 from 5 p.m. through 11 p.m., Friday the 23rd from 10 a.m. through 11 p.m., Sunday the 24th from 10 a.m. through 11 p.m., Saturday the 24th, excuse me, and Sunday the 25th from 10 a.m. through 7 p.m.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is a temporary Class B beer license for the Historic Barton Business Association for the Mason Holbrook benefit being held on August 10th, 2019 from 9 a.m. through 6 p.m. on Roosevelt Drive between Monroe Street and Barton Avenue.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. Item 5 is appointment of agent Tara Stanchek, Pick and Save, 1629 South Main Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. And item number 6 is secondhand article dealer license for United States Cellular Operation Company LLC, U.S. Cellular, located at 1323 West Paradise Drive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries, and being there no further business before the licensing board, I adjourn. I think we've got all the aldermen back up here, so we can call the City of West Bend Common Council meeting for Monday, July 5th, 2019 to order. Recognize that we do have a quorum this evening. Item number 1 under presentations is presentation of the Riverwalk East Celebration, ribbon cutting, and Riverwalk West preview, and a presentation tonight by Craig Hepner. A delayed celebration, a little drier than it was last time. I'm glad everybody turned out tonight. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's 90 and sunny out today. For those that came a couple weeks back, we appreciate you coming back for tonight. We wanted to do a re-celebration of the grand opening of the Riverwalk in a shortened, condensed version. So first off, we have a number of people to thank, and Mayor, you're welcome to chime in if you have any words of wisdom for us as well. But we want to first thank the Milwaukee River Revitalization Advisory Committee, better known as the Riverwalk Committee. A lot of them are in attendance tonight. It's kind of been a 6-year love affair with this project, and we want to thank them for their dedication and for continuing this process. And we just came from a Riverwalk Committee meeting just now, and are actually working on the west side. I'm pretty excited about some of those things. So thank you very much for your dedication to this. Certainly folks that helped us along the way, and these folks need to be thanked for their generous donations and contributions. First was Wisconsin DNR with a stewardship grant, and also Wisconsin DOT with the help with the bridge. Certainly the City of West Bend and all the staff and commissioners that have helped out with this. On the private side, we have West Bend Mutual Insurance, West Bend Economic Development Corporation, the Downtown Business Improvement District, the Ziegler Family Foundation, the Johnson Family Foundation, We Energies Foundation, Serigraph, Meyer, Epic Creative, Gilitzer Electric, and Roots and Branches. And those people have raised well over $500,000 amongst them, so I think they deserve a round of applause. The two companies I'm going to recognize as well for helping out with this is MSA Professional Services. They are the folks that helped design the Riverwalk. There we go. MSA from Beaver Dam did all the design and engineering on the east side. And then Yankee General Contractors were the general contractors. They're fantastic to work with, really looked at details and made things happen, so we appreciate all of their work. I want to invite Kelly Ty from West Bend Mutual Insurance to come up just to share a couple words on behalf of a lot of our donors and the vision with West Bend Mutual. So Kelly?
Great, thanks Craig. Good evening, everybody. When you look back what's going on in downtown West Bend, I get really excited, as do a lot of our associates at West Bend. You look at the success of MOA, you look at where the Riverwalk is going, the theater's going, it's going to be spectacular. The Riverwalk to me is the real linchpin. West Bend Mutual is really excited and proud to be able to offer a donation to the city to help in a small way make that happen. So we owe our success, much of it, to the city of West Bend and our customers here, and we just like to say thank you for the vision and keep it up.
I also want to thank all the city staff. This wasn't just the Park Rec staff. This wasn't just administration. Pretty much everybody in this room, all the department heads, have been a part of this project, from the streets to design to planning and everything else in between. So a great big thank you to city staff, certainly our own Park Rec forestry staff. I want to thank Jackie Maynard, who's not here tonight, but she's the one that did plan the beautiful event the other night. It was really well set up on Veterans Avenue. Great food, drink, music. Kind of showed what that space can do for the future. I know Chalk Fest will be using it in a few weeks. So Jackie deserves a lot of thanks for putting the event on. Two ladies I'd like to call up front. They'll both be embarrassed for this, but they're going to come up front. Melissa Lipska and Cindy Lyons. Melissa and Cindy, come on up here. There's a lot of things to go around, but these two ladies are really the reason why this project happened. So Melissa started this back in 2011 or 12 when she worked for the city of West Bend and really got the committee together, the original Riverwalk committee together with help of the mayor and others, wrote the first grant, which was over $700,000 from the DNR, did all the kind of that pre-work up through 2015, did a great job, kind of got us on that plane to go and really got it started. She really had the vision for it. Then Corey and I took over for about a 1-year period, and we just fumbled with it for a while. And then we found Cindy, and Cindy's the one, she's the closer. So if you look at the project and how it turned out, it's simply amazing. And she's the one that worked with the contractors, did the bidding process, made sure all the details were done properly. So a very small token of our appreciation for you two ladies. Melissa, thank you very much. And Cindy. You can be seated now. No, a big thank you. Those ladies are fantastic. Next, I'd like to invite Fuzz Martin up from Epic Creative. They're gracious sponsors and partners with us, and we've been doing some logo work, and we'll also be doing some donor sign work. So I'm going to have Fuzz just briefly talk about that, and we'll unveil the new logo in a second.
Thank you, Craig. Yes, when the committee, some members of the committee came to us and asked if Epic would be interested in helping to help brand and design the look of the new Riverwalk with the new beautiful design and how it fits into the community and the culture and the forward-looking vision of West Bend, we, as members of the downtown community, were quick to accept and very grateful that we were approached about it. We became supporters of the project and worked closely with members of the committee to get a feel for what this new Riverwalk design and logo would look like and feel like for those who are visiting, those who live here, and those businesses that do work or do bring employees here into West Bend, such as Epic Creative. And so we came up with a number of different designs. We also looked at the name of the Riverwalk itself. I don't even know what the full name is if you talk about the Riverwalk in previous state, but we had done some anecdotal research and talking to people, and even the way that the committee members themselves referred to the Riverwalk, and we suggested that we refer to the Riverwalk as the West Bend Riverwalk and get some of the excess words out of the discussion, and then to really simplify it and make it easy for people to see and remember. So with that, we developed a number of different logos to look at for the committee to choose from, and then from there we got it dialed into something that we are very proud of, that we feel represents the culture and again the spirit of West Bend, both now and what the Riverwalk will bring to the city in the future. So with that, present the new West Bend Riverwalk logo. And you can see that it's colorful design and really a focus on West Bend and the Riverwalk, and really just to make that feel like a nice branded experience when you go down to the Riverwalk and experience all that has been put into it by the many supporters and those who have been working on it, both from the community and the city itself. And then some alternate pieces of the logo that will be used in signage to represent different activities and cultural aspects of the community. But you see kayaking and the art museum and other iconic portions of West Bend, and that can be tailored. This has been designed so it can easily be updated into the future to include other pieces and designs. So there you have it. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you very much, Buzz. So thank you very much to Epic Creative. There's the Riverwalk Committee is working on some other ideas. Obviously, there's other activities. We're looking at banners on the Riverwalk, wayfinding signage, mileage signage throughout the entire city. So we're excited about this, the new color scheme, branding West Bend and the Riverwalk. So thanks very much for your time and efforts. The last thing I'm going to show you is a little video. So we've been talking about the east side. We're very happy about that. I think we've heard nothing but great compliments on what it looks like, the uses touching the river. But we want to kind of show you a virtual tour. It's a short one, but it's going to show you a little bit of the east and with the future west side. So we're kind of starting on the south, your Veterans Avenue Bridge, working our way north. And we're going to try to mimic as much as we can from the east side. So you see some of the same Ready Rock wall, railings. There's our first pedestrian bridge. There's my pickup truck. And we're excited about the different areas. You'll see some more steps down to the river. I've seen so many people down there fishing, having their lunch, literally wading or swimming. Great access to the river. So now we're moving closer to the north pedestrian bridge. We're going to try and incorporate some more parkways with this, more tree plantings. It's obviously a trickier spot. We have vehicles and pedestrians and garbage trucks and delivery trucks and utilities all to kind of work through, but much great progress has been made. You can see the trees are a little more mature than they are right now. This we're very excited about. This is actually the accessible kayak canoe launch, and it'll be a little fish deck, some plaza seating, seat walls. That's going to turn what's a very ugly space into a very beautiful one. And then this is what we're working on as well, is some more parking and parkland on the north end. And finally with an underpass for pedestrians and bikes under Highway 33, which then links up to place of origin. And we're going to show you just a little bit more from a couple of the detail spots and then a little overview of the top. There's our swan friend. So this is actually what the current South Plaza looks like. Be incorporating a little bit of some, where there's really tight spaces, some paver brick areas off to the side. The plan is to have it actually a 12-foot sidewalk all along the backside or on the west side of the river. We currently have 8 to 10 feet on the east side, so a little bit larger space. We expect more pedestrian, more bike traffic, even on the west side. And here's kind of your overview from the top. You can see all the buildings have repainted themselves and resided. We're working with We Energies. We've had 5 meetings with them, looking at moving transformers and making sure everything's set up well for future access with electricity. There's the North Plaza, the bridge, and again, would be the kayak launch and kind of plaza area. Same kind of lighting we have. Hopefully you've got a chance to come down there in the evenings and see some of the low voltage lighting in the plaza areas and on the railings. We'll try to do the same thing on the west side. And we've been working with Short Elliott Hendrickson, SEH as they're known, and they're the ones that put this virtual tour together, so we really appreciate their efforts. It's a great tool, I think, to show committees, future donors, business owners, etc. So thank you very much, SEH, and that is your virtual tour of the future West Side. And with, yeah. So Mayor, we have one more thing to do as a ribbon cutting, but before that, if you have any words you want to share with the group, the committee, the residents?
One question and a couple of short words, because I forgot most of what I was going to say last time we were outside, but how likely is that underpass under the bridge? I think that'd be really awesome. I know we kind of battled the DOT, or was it DOT back in the day.
Very likely.
Awesome.
Yes, we've actually
Really
met
key.
with the DOT and DNR, with SEH and some of our staff to work through those issues, because a lot of it's floodplain issues, and that's a big piece of it. But they've basically signed off on what we can do as long as the floodplain works out. So we're very confident that that can happen. I think it's a great link.
It'd be a great way to connect the north and south sides of 33. Just real quickly, thanks to everyone you mentioned. Epic, great logo. Thanks for your work. West Bend Mutual, of course. I also like to thank the citizens of West Bend who have allowed this council and several past councils to charge staff and lots of volunteers with the work that you see. Very often, I know I wring my hands, and lots of I'm sure many of you do too, as to what takes so darn long. But now you look back 6 or 7 years later, and it didn't seem so bad. Now we've got the finished product that we do. I think what really makes West Bend unique in a lot of ways is that on projects like this, about give or take a third of the dollars came from state grants, and Craig and his staff did lots of encouraging to Madison to forward us some funding. About a third of the dollars came from the taxpayer, and then really when the call goes out in West Bend, a third of the dollars came from private donors, whether that was families, individual citizens, organizations certainly, and it's just a long list, and I jotted down just a few of them. The performing arts centers at the high school, the Regner Park improvements that have taken place the last 8 or 9 years, Old Settlers Park, Pocket Park, all those really could be called public works projects that in many communities are simply taxpayer funded, and West Bend really is unique. Again, when the call goes out, this community steps up. If we want it, that means we're willing to put our money where our mouth is. So thanks to everyone out there involved, and let's cut a ribbon.
Yes, so if I can invite anybody that's been part of it, wants to be part of it, please come on up. Alderman, come on down and Mayor down to the front. We're gonna do a little ribbon cutting with everybody. We'd like to do it with the whole community, so step on up. Don't be shy.
Guys, you want to make a walk down?
No. Yeah.
Coming building inspection. How are you guys?
Go ahead. Look at my man. You did. I did. In spirit.
Is everybody smiling? First off, just take a couple of smiling.
Smiling? Excellent.
All right, Craig, what do you always say when you do your little thing?
On the count of 3.
All right.
1, 2, 3, smile. Look at the camera. Cut.
1, 2, 3. I think that's
Thanks for dinner, Dad. Thank you.
You don't have to leave. Lots more exciting things coming up. All right, moving along to item number 2 is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of the Common Council from July 1st, 2019.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any questions, comments, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed? That motion carries. Items 3 through 11 are on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 12 is a public hearing regarding weights and measures assessments. Stephanie, you want to tell us what's up, and we'll see if anyone from the public wants to talk about this.
This is what we do every year about weights and measures. We currently have a contract with the Department of Agricultural Trade and Consumer Protection, DATCAP. Their contract price with us is $10,800 for an annual basis, and this is to hire them to do the inspection on devices within the businesses in the city for weight, measure, and count. And then with that contract price, we divide it out according to how long it takes to inspect the devices and how many devices are within the businesses, and then I distribute that cost out as a special assessment onto the businesses.
Thank you, Stephanie. Anyone from the public wishing to address this item, feel free to step up to the mic.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 13 is a final resolution for the levying and collecting of special assessments under Section 66.0703 Wisconsin statutes for the July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Weights and measures inspections performed by the State of Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, and pursuant to Municipal Code Section 12.26.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 14 is 2020 budget review by City Administrator Jay Shambo. I think he's going to run through the presentation from down front, and then we'll have some time for questions for him when he's finished.
Success. So thanks for the opportunity to kick off the 2020 budget discussion. We did have an opportunity to meet with department heads a couple of weeks ago and share some of this information and some high-level goals with department heads regarding our existing state of being financially and then prospectively for 2020 and what we expect to see through the budget process. These are very positive trends. The bullets on this sheet are nothing but good news. The slide depicts the 28.31% of fund balance that we have, and we'll show a chart on this in a little bit, at the end of 2018, up significantly from 2011 at the 11.85%. I know that is something that's been trending in the right direction, and thanks to the good work of departments here in West Bend and the vision that you all set for us to get our fund balance, I'll say back in order, but in an order that is within industry standard. And we're approaching that. As you heard from the audit presentation, we still have some work to do. The rating agency, Moody's, wasn't too excited about where we're at, and your financial policy states that we should be 10% above the median. So again, we still have some work to do in this area, but we're certainly trending in the positive direction. Total debt significantly down from 2011, almost 85 million to 47. And then assessed values, we did have a reval that occurred in 2018, and Jeff and his team are continuing to plan for, based on, and especially based on the market that's continued to be strong, a revaluation again in 2021. So in shorter order than the last gap between citywide revaluation. TIDs continue to improve. We'll see that in a little more detail. The fund balance trend that I talked about is trending up. Ours is the blue line on your chart. It shows that it's at almost that 30% mark. The median line, the reason that Moody's compares us to other municipalities and sees that we still have some work to do, is the top yellow or orange line shows that it's at almost 35% at the end of 2018 for, again, if you remember the audit comparison, similar size municipalities within the state of Wisconsin. General fund balance, this one's got a lot going on the graph, but if you just track the light green lines on the far left, that's our total fund balance. It was in the 5 million-ish range back in 2013 on this chart, and you can see that it's up to 9 million in 2018. That's the total fund balance, and then unassigned fund balance portion that isn't encumbered or previously assigned for other items that are required within our city budget is the blue line, and again, it's been tracking in the appropriate direction. Both do come up short of the medians as tracked again by our auditor, but positive, no doubt. Debt to service, or debt service to non-capital, this one we have some work to do as well. Our policy, our debt service to non-capital expenditure policy states that in order to be in a non-debt reduction mode regarding our city finances, we need to be below 20%. And you can see that the reference is just above 20%. I think when the policy was set, it was 2013, 2014 when the median line was around that 20%, but we're just north of 25% and have been tracking over time in the closer to 20% range. But as our debt continues to go down and our overall expenditures do not go up to that extent, we will continue to gain ground. So a positive trend as well. And I should have started with, if you have questions, comments, you might want to let me plow through all the slides, and some of those could be answered. If you have something burning, go ahead and fire it at me, but otherwise I'll run through this 5 minutes or so of slides, and then you can ask me some questions and I'll do the best that I can in answering them. Goals for 2020 budget. We're not looking to significantly expand level of services, but to continue, or we're not looking to significantly reduce our current level of services, but continue to provide a high level of service for our constituents and visitors in West Bend. We do hope to maintain the existing tax rate. That's a goal that, after a conversation with the mayor, we put in place. The rate, as you will recall, went down significantly after the reval from 851 to 779. So if we're able to maintain that existing tax rate, that would be a positive for the 2020 budget. The chief and school superintendent are working together on the crossing guard program and the funding between school and city. I just put that in there as we had some additional police discussions with school liaison last year, and now that's been progressed into the crossing guard situation and having positive conversations about that as well for 2020. Maintain current level of health insurance. We've reported this to you all in the past, that our city employees pay a comparable amount certainly to the public sector and approaching the private sector as well regarding employee contributions. So we're hopeful to be able to maintain employee level of contributions in the 2020 budget. Utilize an appropriate amount of net new construction, tax levy increase, even though we stand a goal or set a goal of the tax rate staying the same. It doesn't mean that the overall levy will not go up. If you recall, we did have a levy increase last year, and consistently the last few years, we're likely to have and be recommending another tax increase for 2020, but as valuation goes up and net new construction goes up, that affords us the ability to attempt to keep the tax rate the same. We've had conversations with Finance Chairman Kasten and Mayor Sadonico about a merit increase of 2.5%, so we're hopeful to build that in for our employees. If you recall, the system that we have put in place for all our employees to receive an increase, a cost of living increase, that's after a successful employee evaluation, and it's merit-based. And then Carrie and her team continue to pursue the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award. Last year at this time, we were able to announce that we received the award for the previous year's budget. They are behind and are not able to let us know whether we were successful in our 2019 budget or not, but we'll certainly report that out as soon as it happens. We're hopeful. Some challenges that might be ahead. Dark store, 5-year capital improvement plan. Dark store, unfortunately, has been on there for the last few years. The capital improvement plan is one that's a consistent challenge just because there's a lot of need within our facilities, infrastructure and road infrastructure and utilities, all of which fit into the 5-year capital plan. Long-range transportation funding for our local roads. We closely monitor what goes at the state. And with the recently passed budget bill, we expect a little bit of an uptick in transportation funding. And then TID repayments and the creation of TID number 14. We've asked Ellers to come in at an August meeting to share some additional information with you regarding what that might mean. Talking about each of those challenges in a little more detail, the dark store issue, good news that occurred in 2019 is that we settled the Menards lawsuit for 3 tax years. And we're hopeful that that one doesn't come up again. The lawsuit remains for Walmart, and Jeff Yoder, our attorney Amy Seibel, and myself continue to work on our defense, if you will, for that, our response to their challenge of where we're at. The property recently sold, so you can see the first bullet there states that it sold for $17.3 million. We think this significantly increases our chances in success in this lawsuit. We've had an appraisal done for tax year 2018, and it came in at 16.3, so pretty consistent with the sale. Our 2019 assessment, Jeff's office had the valuation before the sale at $12.6 million, and since the sale has occurred, we have had some initial conversations about how that sale impacts where we are for 2019 and what we might be, and what his office might be doing for that property in the future. And their challenge has remained consistent at $6.3 million. So a significant reduction of where the assessment is half the value of what our current assessment is what they're asking their property to be set at. And then I just put the bullet of continuing to encourage state legislators, and ours have certainly been on board and supportive of this to close that loophole so these kind of lawsuits don't continue. Our capital improvement plan, historically in West Bend, we've had modest borrowings the last several years, and that's what has allowed us to drop our debt significantly. In tax years, or budget years, I should say, 2016 and 17, we were borrowing $1.5 million overall. We raised that in 2018 to $2 million and have maintained that number in 2019. So we borrowed $2 million for our capital improvement plan, including roads, in those 2 years. And you can see the second bullet there that we're proposing to increase that an additional $1 million all the way up to $3 million in 2020, with $2 million of it being dedicated solely to roads. Even at that, there's still the need to prioritize within the organization. So that last bullet just reflects the fact that we've had lots of critical conversations with staff and department heads regarding needs and what is the highest priority for the 2020 budget year. Local roads discussion, again, just reflecting that the $3 million is proposed with $2 million of it dedicated solely to roads regarding the borrowing for 2020. In part, in response to, and we did have a February 2019 presentation before this body regarding the results of the advisory referendum, and first unveiling that $3 million bonding and $2 million dedicated to roads, which occurred back in February, and we've been tracking ever since. Continuing to focus on the north-south corridors, including the 7th Avenue project, which is a little smaller font. Apologies for that on the screen, showing a $2.5 million borrowing to fund that road in 2021, so construction year 2021. Design, planning for it in advance of that. And then 18th, the last bullet on the page, indicating the 1.7 additional borrowing. So both the 2.5 and the 1.7 are over and above the 2 million that are dedicated, that are anticipated to be continued to be dedicated for roads in those two budget years, 2021 and 2022. And then you can also see that we're anticipating 2.3 million in federal funding for that 18th section of road. That total project is $4 million, a really hefty lift. And that's why, and sometimes the citizens ask you folks as well as Max and our city staff, why we did it in sections, but because that is such an expensive section of road, that $4 million, including the 2.3 million in federal funding, we feel very fortunate to be in the queue for receiving that money in 2022. And that's what's really driving the date, is the funding year of when that money is available to us. So total project there, it breaks it down to a 57-43% split based on the money that they had available. We received 80-20% split on the first section, and this section was only offered at the 47% funding. So a significant borrow for our 2022 CIP plan. The TIDs I mentioned are doing better. I'm pleased to report that. We still have 2 donor TIDs that are assisting other TIDs, and they're assisting in the utility repayment. I'm happy to report that sewer utility is to be scheduled in 2020, about a $700,000 repayment, and water utility $200,000 to repay the cost that they incurred to put those utilities in the TIDs in the first place. That pretty much zeroes out all of the borrowings that we have against, or all of the funds that they had invested in the TID districts to date, once that 2020 year takes place. And then after that, the general fund levy begins to get repaid, and that's really exciting news too. As the TIDs have suffered over the years, the general fund has had to help out, and the excitement is that they get to be repaid now and pay those off throughout the life of the TIDs. In addition to that, some shortfall repayments are ready to be scheduled with developers. Developers within our TIF districts have held to their word and come through with shortfall payments, not a small inconvenience to them by any means, but they signed up for the benefits of the TID, and they'll see those fruits now as the shortfall repayments come back to them again throughout the future years and throughout the life of the TID. Creation of TID 14 will be the next new exciting project for us. It's been almost 10 years since we've created a TID in West Bend, and Mark and his team are working really hard on coming through with all the tight timelines to produce those, produce the TID creation in late 2019 is the plan at this time. And I do have an ask out to Phil from Ellers to come in, similar to what he did last year through the budget process, to provide just some basic information around TIDs. This year I've asked him to be a little more specific on the creation of a TID, because it's been so long since the city has done that. So TID 14, the industrial land that we've been talking about in earnest the last several months. Next steps, we talked about most of these already. The highlight of the last bullet is the detailed council review on October 7th. It's this between now, July 15th and October 7th, isn't the last that you're going to hear about a budget from us. There'll be lots of opportunity to have those kind of conversations from staff and from me personally, but the formal budget presentation is scheduled for October 7th. That concludes my presentation.
Thanks, Jay. Any questions or comments for Jay? Because I've got a couple. Fairway, Justice.
Yeah, just to go back to that 2.5% cost of living increase for employees. Is that something we do every year, or was that on a goal?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a goal. So that's not something we guarantee people if they do well.
So we set the merit or the cost of living increase based on what we think the market holds. So we've had conversations with other municipalities to see what they're doing. We look at our unionized employees and see where their cost of living increases are set. Quite frankly, we look at competition and how much we are struggling to either maintain employees or if we're having a hard time recruiting employees. At some years it was zero. Before my time here in West Bend, there were some tough years and the employees didn't receive anything. They receive 1% sometimes. The last couple of years we've been at 2%. So this year, prospectively, based on the market and the conditions that we're seeing, we're hopeful to build in a 2.5%.
That'd be great, yeah, okay.
This is the most it's been, and I want to say 10 years probably. There were, Jay's right, in 11 and maybe 12, as we were still in and coming out of the recession, that was zero. So I'm not sure exactly what took place before 11, but I'd say it's the most in probably 10 years.
That's true.
Anybody else? Steve?
Jay, a question about the 5-year plan, and I got to apologize. First of all, the document I'm looking at is from 2018. I don't know if we've gotten a newer one since then, but when you look at, some of the years coming up, I mean, according to this document, total cost for 2020 is $9 million, 21 and 22 are $11 million. What are we looking at as far as getting those numbers down besides just pushing stuff down the road?
That's a great question. The fact that those upcoming years are at a significant dollar amount reflects some of that demand that I shared is out there, not only regarding building infrastructure, road infrastructure, but also vehicles and equipment within our departments. They all stack up. We as department heads prioritize that list on an annual basis, and yes, we do push some down the road, but we also are recommending spending an additional $1 million in 2020 that we have not spent in the last couple of years, and it's $1.5 million more than that was put in the CIP in 2016 and 17. So I think it's a combination of both. We prioritize and we do push, but we also are recognizing that borrowing at $1.5 million and $2 million, although it did a great job to drive the debt down, and for the most part, we're in a way more comfortable position than we were several years ago. It wasn't enough to sustain it long term. So we weren't able to borrow $1.5 million for the next 10 years, or that list would grow even more significantly than it is. But no doubt, Steve, it's a significant list and one that department heads take seriously. We prioritize, just like we hear the mayor and the council set vision for us regarding priorities being police and fire. So you're likely to see a half of a fire truck at $550,000 in this 2020 CIP, which is a significant chunk of that $3 million that's available.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Rich? Also to add to that, that's one of the reasons you see things like, we had a presentation about 2 months ago about leasing vehicles as opposed to purchasing those vehicles. So we're looking for more creative budgeting prospects that'll help us offset some of those costs and help those numbers hopefully get smaller.
Yeah, I agree with, I know what you're saying and I understand. It's just, sometimes it seems like, how can I say this? We're pushing it farther and farther and we're not catching up. Yeah, we straighten this year out, but then next year we get the same thing, and it just, instead of going down, it seems like it's going this way. But I know you can only do so much with what you got, I understand that, but I guess I'm just kind of looking to see if there's going to be a way that somewhere we can make it go this way instead of going this way.
My guess is, Steve, if you look back at least the last 8 years, I know that number has ranged between $8 million and $12 million. Right. It's there, and some of those are wish list asks. If you
I understand that.
Some of them are definitely critical, and the way we've been prioritizing is public safety, infrastructure, and quality of life. The fun stuff kind of comes at the back end, and that's why we had a room full of donors helping us out with the public works project. But balancing where we were, $80-some million in debt, almost the worst of the worst, to the point that we're pretty darn respectable. Still with a little work to do to get to the median. That's where we balance it. I think, Jay, you're right. It wasn't an easy sell on Jay's part, I think, to say, let's get this up to $3 million and dedicate $2 million to roads. So we're not splitting a fire truck over 4 or 5 years. Let's be realistic with it. So I think we're making progress. And as Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in prior discussions, even with that 7th Avenue and 18th Avenue additional debt, we'll still be driving our overall debt down. So we're nearing the point where we're at median, and our policy says we want to get 10% better than median. With some of the other factors Jay discussed, driving debt down, the TIDs performing well to the point they're going to start repaying back the general fund. That'll be a discussion for this and future councils. When we do get some of those revenues, are those returned to the citizens? Are those put directly to roads or some of those capital projects? So I get it. You know, it's easy just to kick stuff down the road. I really don't think we're doing that. The 2020 budget we've known for a while was going to be a first glimmer of some real positiveness and some hope. We've known that for 4 or 5 years. And I honestly think that trend is continuing as long as the market stays strong and we continue to develop those TIDs. So we're getting there. It's kind of baby steps, but you're right. But I think we're getting there. Anybody else for Jay?
Great. Thank you.
Actually, don't go anywhere. I do have a couple more.
Okay, shoot.
I'll avoid my typical soapbox and avoid patting everyone on the back for really increasing the fund balance and decreasing the debt. Related to that, Jay, where are we at with the Moody's versus S&P discussion? I know you talked with Phil about that, and if for no other reason than sticking Moody's in the eye a little bit would be kind of fun, because we really busted our tails, and it'd be nice to get a little love back from those guys, so to speak.
Yep, Phil's been put on notice that we are interested in our next borrowing to go with a different rating agency, which is S&P. And he'll provide more of an update when he's here in August, but there's really not a lot that goes on in between that decision when it's made.
Okay, good. Walmart assessment, I think it's just interesting statistics, and it still boggles my mind if someone in Madison, the decision makers, look at this and say we had an appraisal at $16.3 million and Walmart scoffed at it and said it's worth $6 million, and in a matter of months it sells for more than what our appraisal was. I had a local, very well-established national retail developer call me after this sold, and he said, are you going to bump the assessment up to $17.3 million? It was an arm's length transaction. It was a fair market value of the property. I came prancing into the office and mentioned that to Jay, and I think Jeff Yoder probably just about collapsed. It's not quite that easy, but I know you mentioned that there are discussions going on and we're getting some advice on what can happen, but I would scratch my head if we're assessing it at 12.6 and the thing just sold for 50% more than that. We should be able to exercise a little latitude there, so hopefully that works out. You mentioned health insurance, and that was a major effort back in 2012, 2013 to put that plan together. Between now and budget time, could we see those statistics? I don't remember exactly what our plans are, what our overall health insurance costs are, if the on-site clinic's been helping temper some of those increases. So if we could do something ahead of the budget meeting, that'd be cool, sometime in September or something.
Yeah, we can do that for sure. For 2019, if you remember the discussion back a year or so ago, it was 18% for a family plan that employees are contributing and 25% for a single plan. So that's where the goal comes in of feeling like we're about there regarding employee contributions, but we can give you the full data on the health insurance.
And just to make sure we're competitive, again, we're competing for employees like everybody else is right now, and if there's something we should look at one way or another, it'd probably be the time to do that. I think that's it. Good work. Awesome. Anybody else? Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Item number 15, disallowance of claim for John Wefferling.
Motion to deny.
Second.
A motion, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 16 is a request by Habitat for Humanity to close and use the city-owned Walnut Street parking lot in various city streets for German Fest, August 21st through the 26th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Item 17 is an ordinance amending Chapter 16 of the Municipal Code regarding the electrical code. Hello, Rob.
Good evening.
I think I heard some knees creaking there when you stood up.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I know it.
Hopefully you guys have got a copy of the amended electrical code, the proposed one, in your packet. Mm-hmm. And the reason for this change is the State Department of Safety and Professional Services changed the electrical code, and they would like to see some uniformity across the state. So this is not strictly something for West Bend. And what you'll notice is that there's a lot taken out of the code, so it's a lot more streamlined and very short and to the point. And what happens with West Bend, as in other municipalities, we do the work locally of the state inspectors. And so in order to more effectively mesh with what the state does, they would like to see our code amended to match what the state has. So this is nothing unique to West Bend, and we looked it over very carefully, and we're really not losing anything in the transaction. So, any questions? Easy stuff, right?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
And item under reports, item 18 is a report by Alderman Maddle regarding the downtown bid board meeting. Justice?
Hi, yeah, we met again a couple weeks ago. Looks like the bid board's gonna put $7,500 towards the Bloomin' Holidays event for Glow Globes. How many was that, Adam? It's like 13, yeah, right. And then we also, Big Brothers Big Sisters are going to contribute $1,000 towards the Mini Masters event, the mini golf event. It's kind of cool looking thing. We're still kind of working on what to do with the Christmas decorations, right? Haven't quite come to any conclusions on that. And we're having a special meeting. I don't think we've decided on a specific date yet, but and I'm not going to try to pronounce this lady's name, but it's the state preservation officer looking at making downtown a historic district. So we'll get back to you on that one.
Thank you. Any questions for Alderman Maddle? And item number 19, a report by Alderman Kasten regarding the Plan Commission meeting.
Thanks, Craig. So we had a couple of different public hearings. We had some oversized LED signs that people were looking at. One for the Quick Trip on Washington Street, as well as one for Landmark Credit Union. We looked at and approved a site plan for the architectural facade for the West Bend Theater. Looks very exciting. It's a gorgeous building, and it's going to be definitely a true gem once it's completed down there in the downtown. We also looked at annexing and looking at the initial public hearing for the change of the land use for what we know is the Renner property. So the 155 acres there on River Road in NN. And finally, we talked a little bit about accessory structures. So with corner lots, having a shed and or a garage can be a challenge. So the development department is going to be looking at how they can make those buildings permissible without impacting neighbors and sight lines and all that fun stuff.
Thank you, Rich. Any questions regarding the Plan Commission? And being no further business before the Common Council, I adjourn. Are there any announcements tonight? I just have a quick one. Thanks to the almost 2,000 participants in the mud run. Thanks to city staff and lots of volunteers, including the guys next to me for stepping up and helping out. It was a really cool event, and I'm sure it was a fun day in Regner Park for lots of folks. I know my youngest came home plenty muddy. So keep up the good work. Good night, everyone.